Hello, welcome to the Merseyside Mammoths, another battle report for War Machine and Hordes. Today I'm playing Cygnar, I'm Glen. I've been on a couple of times now with Darius lists. I'm here with Matt, who's playing Grymkin.
Hello.
So we're playing the scenario Spread the Net from the 2017 scenario pack. I'm going to start by going down my list there. I'm taking Storm Division as a theme. It's led by Lord General Coleman Stryker, which is Striker 3 to anybody. He's got a Squire in his Battlegroup, he's got 2 Ironclads and 1 Firefly. There's Captain Arlan Strangewayes, who's in every Cygnar list in the world. A Journeyman Warcaster with his own Firefly. Katherine Laddermore, a full unit of Storm Lances, you guessed it, a second unit of Storm Lances, also full. A unit of Stormblade Infantry with the unit attachment, but no weapon attachments. I'm playing Matt, who's got Child.
Yeah. Also worth noting for that is that the Cygnar stuff are quite pretty, so we've changed the way we've done it, so hopefully you'll be able to see what we're talking about.
You've committed now, that's going to have to work.
I know, it's going to have to work. I can chop it out.
You could have said nothing, and then no one would have been any the wiser, but now I'm going to
It'll be fine.
Okay.
If it works, it works.
Anyway.
If not, I'll chop.
Sorry.
Little pause, it was great that. So I've got the Child. 3 Skin and Moans, 1 Cage Rager. I've got 2 Crabbits, 1 Free Crabbit, and a Gorehound. And then I've got the Death Knell, 4 Gremlin Swarms, Lady Cariana Rose, and a full unit of Dreadrots. And it's all in the Dark Menagerie theme.
That's what I was wondering what it was called. Yeah. 4 Gremlin Swarms.
Yeah.
4.
It's all good fun.
Anyhow, so I won the dice roll to go first and chose to go first. Matt quite rightly put me on the side with all the terrain because Pathfinder isn't really a thing in this list. There's 2 large forests blocking my way to start with. There's also a frozen lake just outside of my deployment zone, and then the pieces of terrain right at the top is actually a hill, so that's not too bad. The one near the square zone at the bottom is some rubble as well, so also blocking the way. You can just see where Stryker is at the moment with one of his Ironclads. There's not a huge amount of space between that wood and that rubble. So I'm facing some fairly closed off charge lanes. So the overall plan, as with most Striker 3 lists, is to just kind of... I say just kind of. You want to make the most of his feat. His feat is that all your charge and impact attacks automatically hit and gain an additional die of damage. So normally that means that with your normal charge stat being boosted anyway, you're on 4 dice worth of damage. Combined with his spell Fury for +3 strength means that units of Storm Lances, or indeed Jacks that have it, really start cranking out the damage output if you can get the charge. This is why it's good that Matt's put me on the side with a load of terrain, because it's going to impede that charge. Not entirely confident into Grymkin. All I know is that I don't really like them as a faction because the aesthetic isn't very good. I don't like it. Sorry, I had to say it on the internet. I've done it. But I've played into them a handful of times now, and I know a lot of players are kind of building around the Arcana and when to trigger them, how to trigger them. I've not really given it a great amount of thought, and I've played. I think this is the third game I've played into them. And really, so far, I've just played into it and let it happen if it's going to happen. And I've not really been caught with my pants down yet. So I'm quite happy to just kind of play it, learn it, and then as I get caught out, which I invariably will at some point, then I can then sort of take lists against it. I'd rather get hit by it and then sort of figure a way around it rather than trying to figure it out first, because I'm probably not going to figure it out first until it gets me anyway.
Yeah, so I don't think you learn until you've had your pants taken down, as it were.
That's it.
You know, you can think about it and go, oh yeah, maybe this could happen, but it's not quite the same.
Sorry, I've ranted for ages there, and I've already deployed while I had a drink. So you can see the terrain's naffed me over a little bit already. I've got a unit of Stormblade at the bottom, which really they should have been in the middle, but there wasn't room for them in the middle because there's not much space between those 2 forests. So a unit of Lancers has gone at the middle, combined with Stryker and his Battlegroup. A unit of Lancers has gone at the top. That's about the only bit of good deployment I have done. It's the only bit where there's an open field to run across, which is what horses like doing. So overall, my deployment could have been a lot better, but I'll kind of see how we go. It's worth mentioning as well, the junior Warcaster, the Journeyman Warcaster, his Firefly is the one towards the top, and he's not far behind it. I'm looking at that flag, I'm thinking I can potentially start to crank up the score on that flag. Relatively early, if I can use the Lances with an open field to run across, I can use that to buy me the board space, and then hopefully keep Junior relatively safe. The problem is that Juniors like to be within about 3 inches of the back of the board because of Arcane Shield. They don't want to let that drop, so it's a potentially risky manoeuvre. But Matt's not got any shooting in the list, so I've just got to watch threat range and make sure nothing can get to him, and he can sit and score that flag all day long. Shouldn't be too bad.
That's it, dead easy. And I mean, the Skinnamone's only got like potential 14-inch threat, so
14, I can deal with 14. I think they're good Junior now. So I've kicked off. The Lancers have run across the open field. Junior's moved up. So next turn he's moved up, cast Arcane Shield onto the Lancers, and repositioned so he's close enough to get to the flag next turn. His Fireflies run up in front of him to get his ionisation bonus should it come into play. I also advanced move my Stormblade at the bottom, which is why they're a bit further forward at the start of the turn. Striker's just gunned it straight forward. He's put out Escort. He's put out Iron Aggression on this Ironclad that's running at the moment. He's put out Fury onto the other unit of Storm Lancers. So I start to. I'm not saying I'm bunkering up, but my ball patch is terrible on that. I'm not saying I'm bunkering up. Oh god, that's gonna do me in.
concentration.
I
His head's gone.
tell you what. No, my hair's gone. That's the worst part. Anyway, so the Storm Lancers are kind of. They've realised that there's a mess of terrain, so I've got a small problem. Well, everyone's just sort of jammed in the middle. It's not great, but I'm thinking that the Jacks can get out there, charge relatively quickly, and I'm trying to sort of force the issue, and I'm interested to see what Matt's going to do next, because I out-threat his infantry by a fair way, but not particularly his beast. It's an interesting one because Storm Lancers can charge 13, Skinnamones charge 12 unless they get, remind me what it's called, abused?
It's Tantrum.
Tantrum, which is the child's thing.
Yeah.
Explain Tantrum, because I can't.
So Tantrum is if you damage a model in the battle group of the Warlock, not caster, I've got to get out the habit of that, you get a free 2-inch move and you get a free attack, so it's a bit like a vengeance move, is the easiest way to do it. So in this, what I'm looking to do is, obviously those Dreadrots are there just to give me corpses. There's very little I want to do with them beyond that.
I didn't know this.
Also, worth a note is there's a guy called Tim Banky on Arcane Assist, and he did this thing with...
You just name dropped on the
internet. I have just name dropped, but... no, because it's his idea, nothing to do with me, but that's why the Gremlin Swarms are in there. So it drops in the middle, so that they sort of insulate.
They catch Electro Leaps for fun, which I noticed Matt did very well in, as you'll find out.
That's it.
It's a common thing with Ghost Fleet. Ghost Fleet do that. They interspace Black Bane's Ghost Raiders with the rest of the ghosts, so that
stop it jumping. Yeah, it's a cracking idea, but it's like
Cygnar are crap.
Yeah. So what did I do?
There's 2 Crabbits gone up.
2 Crabbits, that was it. This was just trying to get something in between me and the Storm Lancers, so that the Skinnamones at the top just wouldn't just die, because that was the fear. I'd like to have done it with the Gremlin Swarms, because they can be great for just stopping your placing within 2. Because you can move through them, but you can't sort of sit on them. But obviously they were trying to keep Dreadrots alive, because I can't get the corpses if you kill them with Electro Leaps, which is a big thing.
Again, the whole corpse collection, I don't really think about this either. I think I've been playing to Grymkin quite blindly. Also, I think the other thing that's worth mentioning is I've not seen many Grymkin players who did what Matt did, which is buy it as soon as it was released and has been playing games ever since. So I think we've actually probably had a bit more experience than most people into them. I know we've been travelling to a couple of local clubs and they're a bit like, ooh, let me play the Grymkin player, see how it works.
Yeah.
Whereas so this is my fourth game in a couple of weeks. Not too bad. So it's come back to me. The Crabbits are in the way. I can't remember what they're called. Farmer guys with pumpkin heads.
Dreadrots.
Thank you. Dreadrots are in the way. They're interspace with Gremlins, which are going to become the bane of me. They've got Incorporeal and they've got the stealth, so they're hard to remove. This is me moving up a Firefly and realising, no, they've got stealth. But I try and start to shoot some farmers away anyway. I'm going to refer to them as farmers because I can't remember what they're actually called. Dreadrots, thank you. I start to try and get a couple of them, which I do, but again, some of the lightning gets grounded on Gremlins, so I could say I'm playing right into his hands here. So the next thing, I think, it's definitely a game of sort of 2 halves. There's the half where the Storm Lancers are free to go at whatever they want to do at the top, and the half at the bottom where there's all sorts of terrain impeding my advance. So this makes it a bit of a weird one for when I'm going to pop my feet. ideally, I want both units of Lancers to charge on feet turn because it's devastating. So this turn I try and play a bit more conservatively, and this is where when I say that I'm not great into Grymkin because I just sort of play into it, I decide to open the trade with the unit of Stormblades at the bottom because I can run them in, pop Iron Zeal for +3 armour, and they can probably survive at least a bit more than they should be able to, which should leave some Grymkin stuff in charge range for both units of Stormlancers next turn. It's not a trap per se, but it's just opening the trade with something that's not Stormlancers, which is not something this list normally does. I've engaged that Cage Raid to make sure he can't arc any spells unless he starts killing models. And the Iron Zeal token's gone down. I did get one charge, and there he goes. I've just removed a little Dreadrot. I think I've got his name right.
And the corpse is mounting up on the death knell.
They are. This is again me just playing into Grymkin blind and not really caring. So I've moved a Firefly to my home box to try and... He's out of range of that Gorehound for charging. He might be able to run to engage, but I'd rather he ran to engage and then at least I can deal with him on my own terms, sort of thing. I know he's gonna have to move to deny the zone, but they're not that hard to kill once you get into it, especially if you have a feat where you auto hit with charge attack. So I'm kind of thinking he can deny me for a turn, and I'll kill him, and then there's not a lot on that flank. So this is me shuffling around for a turn and kind of faltering, but kind of just sort of saying try and kill the Stormblades or kill the Stormblades, and then I'll get you in a turn after that. A couple of Lancers do go into the top to get rid of some Crabbits and try and hopefully jam a couple of Skin and Moans. I know that Skin and Moans hit like trains and can be armoured like trains as well. In fact, they're quite a lot like trains. So I trade away a couple of Storm Lancers and try and hold the other ones back, and I hope that Matt kills the leader because the leader's gone in. If he doesn't kill the leader, then I'm going to end up with 3 out of command Storm Lancers, but we'll be able to charge next turn, which is my planned turn of glory. So... But I need to start removing Crabbits. I need to deny the zone at least for a turn and get the game moving, sort of thing. You can see the Junior Warcaster's moved up to his flag and hopefully he's going to start scoring. I'm trying to make it as hard as it can be for Matt to deny my zones and the flags specifically, because if hopefully the Lancers can buy me the board space to keep things safe, like I was saying at the start. So I think I'm fairly there. It's gone back over to Matt now.
Yeah, this is it. So the move at the top's my tantrum move. So the Skin and Moans I've measured out. If I can kill those 2 Lancers at the top, the Skin and Moans can actually reach all the way across that flag and get on 2 more Storm Lancers, which is obviously a really nice thing to be able to do. And it also doubles up because if I do it, I'm going to use Abuse, which is going to damage him, which is then going to trigger Pain Response, which is then going to mean he charges for free.
All this stuff I didn't realise.
Yeah, all the great little... Well, it's just a child. She's awesome.
It's just a child.
So now looking at this, what I'm trying to do is going to be to score, because I know that I need to get scoring on my own turn as quickly as possible, so that I don't fall behind. Because I think there's a good chance I'm going to lose a lot of models at some point in this game, so I need to be able to make it so that that's not a major issue when it comes to the scenario points. I also need to charge up all of my Skin and Moans in some way. So the one at the bottom, there was 3 Stormblades.
Blades, yes.
Yeah, that were just beautifully 2 inches apart for all of them. So there was only one thing happening with them. They were going to get munched by a Skin and Moans, which in turn would then free up the Cage Rager, which was sort of all good.
The plan is that because Matt can arc spells through the Cage Rager, so there's a plan to sort of stuff me back into my terrain even more here, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, I've played in the past against mercenaries, and I just spent the entire game arcing.
Big old Mark Ellis.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Spent the entire game arcing. What's it called, the spell?
Don't know, mate. Force Hammer.
Force Hammer, that's the one. Force Hammer, and just basically just knocking this poor Jack back and back and back.
I love how I just said "dunno, mate," and then instantly called the name of the spell.
I think you clearly did know.
Yeah, I did.
Liar.
Yeah.
So the Dreadrots are going to go and charge in.
Oh, they're gonna.
Have they gone in yet?
Yeah, they've gone in.
They've gone in. Yeah, they were completely
I was going to point in the screen. Then I was going to point in the screen. I'm so bad at this.
Yeah, no, every single Dreadrot went in and missed.
Bounced off every single Stormblade. It was great.
They were on like 6s to hit and still failed.
Yeah,
it was just pathetic.
Yeah.
And then at the top,
posing me with an interesting problem next turn, shall we say?
Yeah. Yeah. So I've also worth noting, the Gremlin Swarm's gone onto the flag. They're great at scoring their own flags.
Yes, they're great at scoring their own flags.
Because obviously you can't stealth, incorporeal, chances are you can't shoot them off, so you have to go and send something in. They're also great
for... magical.
That's magical. But it's the same for getting them onto flags to challenge zones. So
yeah, they're great deniers. They're great scenario pieces. End of story, really, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, I was going to say call them farmers again. The Dreadrots have gone in. The Cage Rager's moving up. He's got to kill the newly promoted leader.
Yep.
To get in range of presumably Force Hammer.
Yeah. The other thing to note about this is because he can use corpses to upkeep spells for my caster.
Never knew that.
My intention for that was to kill that guy, give him the corpse token, so then I can upkeep Tantrum for free.
Oh, right.
Which is always worth doing. And then it means I can cast Force Hammer again, potentially the turn after.
Oh, I see. So yeah, because Force Hammer's expensive.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah, fair.
Which was the plan. So yeah, so I've charged up the Cage Rager, I've charged up the working up the board, charged up the Skin Moans. There's the two at the top. My intention was that one would get one or two of the near Storm Lances, and the other one would go for the distant Storm Lances. So we'll see how that goes.
The Gorehound's running on denying duty, hasn't he? At the bottom
yeah,
box.
He's gone in and just stood 2 inches away and just generally being a pest.
Yeah. So is it back over to me now? It looks like it's back over to me. Isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's my turn 3, and this is my planned turn of glory, as I put it before. So Force Hammer has been cast at this point.
Yeah.
The Force Hammer went through the Cage Rager, hit that black Ironclad at the front, slammed it back into the Katherine Laddermore, knocked them both down, did a smattering of damage to each. I think Laddermore was left on 3 boxes while still on her horse. So, in fact, no, it is definitely still Matt's turn.
Yeah, well, this is the second, because the first Skin and Moans, I decided to abandon the charge, and I thought the first Skin and Moans would just smash both the lances, kill them both.
Didn't.
And then the second one would be there so that when he kills the first Skin and Moans, the second Skin and Moans can then finish off the lances in return. So I was sort of peace trading. But it didn't work, so I ended up with this sort of Congo procession of Skin and Moans at the top.
Yeah. The plus side is I had Storm Lances free, where at the start of that turn of Matt's, I thought I was going to end up with no units of Storm Lances and a junior Warcaster quaking in his boots at a Skin and Moan 3 inches in front of him, which would have been a problem, shall we say. So, no, it definitely wasn't my turn at all. This is near enough the end of the turn. There's 2 Gremlin Swarms have made their presence.
Drop next to the 2 Jacks.
Yeah, 2 Ironclads, 2 Gremlin Swarms, kind of makes sense.
Well, the maths was there.
It was. So this is me powering up. I've measured some threat ranges from the Ironclads. One of the abilities of the Gremlins, apart from being massively annoying, is that they have, is it sabotage or something like that it's called, where you roll if a Warjack starts its activation in base contact with a Gremlin Swarm, you roll a dice. On a 1 to 2 you get -2 speed, on a 5 to 6 you get -2 attack rolls, and on a something.
2 to 3, 1 to 2's move, 3 to 4's attack, 5 to 6 is damage.
Thank you, Grymkin player.
It's like you should know this stuff.
So I've measured some threat ranges, and I'm trying to bear in mind the -2 speed if it happens. I figure that the black Ironclad that's been knocked down still gets the Cage Rager even with -2 speed. I was a bit more hasty with the purple Ironclad towards the middle of the zone there, and I kind of assumed it could get to the death knell as long as I can clear the way. So the death knell has the same as combat warning for trolls, which is not combat warning, whatever it's called, protective aura for trolls, which gives everyone +2 armor. So as battle engines go, because they've now all been given a boost, it's pretty weak, to be fair. You can just smash it in half if you get there with a good heavy. So I plan to get a good heavy onto it, being an Ironclad. I've got to kill 3 Dreadrots. There you go.
Not farmers.
Yeah, you see. Dreadrots. Got to kill 3 of them, and then I've got an open path to the battle engine, so long as the Gremlins don't get a 1 or 2 and slow me down. We'll leave that for later on in the turn. The Lance is going at the top, and this is the moment where I realise that a Skin and Moans is actually armour 22, and even Stryker's moved up, he's popped his feet, which is fairly critical. It is the turn of glory. The 3 Lances have gone in, sorry.
No, I was going to say, worth noting is that a Dreadrot died, and I played Ill Omens, which is what makes it armour 22.
Yeah, it's -1 and 1 to your attack and damage rolls, I believe.
Yeah.
So the Lancers go in, they're not bothered because they also hit with their charges, and they do remove the skin and bones, which is fairly handy. But again, the piece trade has kind of started in that there's now 3 Lancers and a skin and bones, and then after that I've run out of pieces to trade at the top. But hey ho, I've removed a heavy. That's a fairly good start. The plan is to try and remove 3 heavies and a death knell. That's the plan this turn. The Ironclad at the bottom can get to the Incredible Hulk at the bottom, which is the Cage Rager. The Ironclad in the middle can get to the death knell. The remaining Stormblades and Lances behind can get to the Skin and Bones in the trench. So the plan is that if I do that, then I can't see Matt really coming back from the game. 3 heavies out of 4 down and the battle engine for effectively not.
Yeah, you're not lost.
I'd lose a unit of Lances for that trade, and I'm quite happy with that. At that point, scenario doesn't really matter. So I'm trying to figure out how to remove these Dreadrots. I've shot with Junior's Firefly, who's just lurking in the woods at the top of the circular zone. But where I thought that it was going to crisp through all of them with a mighty roll of 3, he killed 1. The Stormblades ends up activating and killing them in the end, I think. But it's too little, too late, and it's really messed up my charge lane. The Stormblades are going here now. Like I said, a couple of them hit the Cage Rager. These 2 end up just having to hit the Dreadrots in front of them, which is annoying because it leaves my own models in the way of my glorious charges. So this is just them getting some damage in. Again, I realised that Cage Rager is armor 22. I also then clicked that the other Skin and Bones is going to be armor 22, and my plan of removing 3 beasts didn't include them all being armor 22. They would have been armor 20 if I could have removed the Death Knell, which would have possibly turned things a little bit, or would possibly turn things a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
However, the major problem is that the Gremlins at the top do indeed get their -2 speed on the purple Ironclad, and stuffs it and puts it out of range of everything at this point. There's no charging for him on the glorious charge turn, which is a shame because he's also fully fueled with focus. So in the end, he ends up running through the Gremlins, through the woods, to try and threaten the top zone. I kind of think that the Skin and Bones is going to have enough to do smashing Storm Lancers, and then in return I can try and make that trade a little bit better by offering an Ironclad into it instead of a Junior Warcaster. So he's moved. The other Ironclad at the bottom has shaken effect from this Force Hammer and is charged in under Iron Aggression, charging for free, hits automatically, and then again hitting at armor 22. I managed to get a crit knockdown and knock it on its ass, but I don't do a great amount of damage to it. I think do I do about half its grid?
Yeah,
possibly
yeah,
a little
third
bit
to a
more.
half. Yeah.
I mean the Stormblades have chopped a little bit off, and I do manage to get a lance. I think a single lance manages to get there on my turn of glory. Out of the 5 that could have charged, I got 1 to do an effective charge. It was glorious. That proved to be out of range. So the Lancers at least get themselves in the way, and like I said, which isn't ideal. They would much rather killed a lot of things, but a couple of Lancers got in the way, and 3 are held back for next turn. I don't want to just throw them away willy-nilly, shall we say. But the one that does charge the Cage Rager manages to hit it, and with a mighty damage roll there, I think he pretty much flattens it. There he goes. The other one is just out of range of the Skin and Bones, so like I said, repositions into him, repositions the unit a bit closer. And again, I think the Skin and Bones has got to deal with an Ironclad, 2 Storm Lancers, 2 Stormblades, which he may well be able to do, but then he's still going to get smashed in the face by more Storm Lancers next turn. There's also Katherine Laddermore, who's effectively a Storm Lancer herself when it comes to charging. So I do feel I'm up on the piece trade a little bit, but the scenario is not looking great as well at this point.
Well, it's 2-1. But I was going to score potentially 2 more in my turn, so...
Yeah, I can't remove the Gremlins at the bottom, and you've got the gear to deal with the stuff that I've got contesting.
Yeah.
I've charged the Gorehound and left it alive on about 3 boxes as well, which isn't too bad at the bottom, but I would have preferred it dead. Again, even a Firefly under Striker's feet, it's 4 dice at power 13. It took a big chunk out of it, but it's not quite enough. But enough to mean that a Gremlin Swarm's got to toe that zone as well, otherwise I'm going to start scoring that.
Yeah, it was just to make sure it wasn't worth. Mind you, that was the apparition move, wasn't it? So I don't know.
Possibly.
Can't remember whether it stays there. So I think at this point I go into the tank because I'm just sort of need to kill lots of stuff. and I'm not sure quite how to do it.
The Skinner Moans at the top has pretty much got his game set, hasn't he? Has he not?
Yeah, he's going to get abused, and he's just going to go...
That's his game set, so he's going to get abused.
Yeah, it was whether I could get all 3 Storm Lances. That was the trick. So I'm pretty certain it's this turn that I'm thinking, right, the child is awesome in combat. So it was a case of...
Awesome-ish, I'm going to say.
Matt 8, power 15, power 17 if you damaged her.
I'm going to say it's awesome-ish.
Okay.
Well, yeah, power 17 is alright it's alright, but it's not a good heavy hitter. It's not like a heavy warjack.
Oh no, it's not the same as a heavy warjack.
18, 19.
But I'm used to like Severius or...
Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah, as a Nemo player, I feel your pain.
Yeah. So the one thing that was a problem though was that I'd lost my Arc Node at the bottom, which then meant I couldn't get the Skin and Moans at the bottom abused as well, which is what I'd have liked. Because that, with the boost, and he had Cariana behind him, he goes up to power 23, which will just eat anything.
In fairness, he goes up to power 21 anyway.
I know.
Like, is that not a little overkill? I don't know.
No.
I'd say mathematically, yes.
See, you're not used to my dice, which are inevitably awful.
I see.
So yeah, anyway, so the child walks up and it splatted one of the lances, which then means that the Skin and Moans at the top can go and get the other 2. I was then thinking about the Battle Engine did special delivery across to the Skin and Moans to make sure he was at full power, and was going to charge, and then I thought, what are you doing? It's a really stupid thing to do, so I stopped. The Dreadrots went in and did what Dreadrot... This unit of Dreadrots are awful all game, weren't they?
Yeah, at this point we realised that the only models in Match Army that can do anything are Skin and Moans, of which there's only 2 left.
Yeah.
I say only 2, it's 2.
It's 2, but it's 2 out of 3, so...
Speaking of which...
Yeah.
Skin
This one's hungry.
Yeah, so he clears himself his own worth of Storm Lancers. But to be fair, I thought he was going to come and ruin the Ironclad's day. I thought the child was going to eat the Storm Lancers, and then he was going to go and smash into the Ironclad at the bottom, well, in the middle. And then the zone at the top has no one in it, which the child could have scored next turn, or I certainly wouldn't have been able to trade back into that, because I wouldn't have had the resource to do it had the Ironclad been dead. But, like I said, the Dreadrots have gone for the Ironclad instead, so we'll see how that gets on.
Yeah, this is the Skin and Moans at the bottom, which had an absolute field day between power 21 anyway, and some good dice rolls. Not necessarily above average. They were all about...
You are allowed above average dice rolls.
Oh yeah, no, but they were like 7s or 8s to hit. It wasn't like outlandish kind of 10s all the time.
True.
But yeah,
suffice to say, they were all within 2 inch reach and all got somewhat stuffed. But
yeah.
again, this is threatening my flank now. This is where my plan of hoping that those Storm Lancers are now within threat range, and they've got Fury on them as well. So there's power 18s coming his way, which might do him some bad. I don't know yet.
Yeah, but again, I've cleared 2 zones on 2 points, so I think it was 4-1 at the end. By the time this turn ends.
The scores had gone a little bit towards Matt's favour there. I was aware of it, but I'm struggling to get my head around the new scenarios, and I tend to get to this point in the game and go, oh, I'm 3-0 down, and then go, right, now I need to play for scenario where I don't really think about it at the start of the game enough.
Well, it's not the same. It's not as critical as last year's was though, where it's 5. You've got 5 lives essentially, haven't you? And once you lose them, you're dead. Whereas this one, you can play catch up, and it can.
Yeah, which incidentally I'm getting quite good at because I keep having to do it. It's back up to me now. The Gorehound at the bottom is still marauding around on 2 or 3 health. The Ironclad survived at the top there, obviously not the bottom when he got eaten by a Skin and Moans, but the one at the top survived, so again I'm on Operation Clear the Dreadrots out of the way. If I can do that, I can get the Ironclad over to the Skin and Moans, and hopefully then Matt's really got a problem because there's going to be an Ironclad in his caster's face. He's going to be most of his heavies down. If I don't kill the Skin and Moans at the top, then I'll almost certainly kill him on the bottom. Well, I say almost certainly, I would like to kill him on the bottom with a unit of Fury Storm Lancers.
Yeah.
So then I think that the attrition game is going to be tilting a bit further in my favour. Stryker's made a play to remove a Gremlin Swarm. There's a Gremlin Swarm that's run through, and he's denying Junior from scoring on his flag. Junior managed to kill one himself last turn with a swift charge attack on defeat turn. But Stryker has managed to miss a Gremlin Swarm on a 5 in the back, should have been a 6. So he has to buy another attack, which kills it. But then he was trying to remove 2. He was trying to get the other one that's behind the Ironclad as well with an Arcane Blast. Arcane Arcane, the one that you never ever cast. But having to buy the extra attack to kill the first one means I couldn't boost into the second one, and even with the rear off in the Squire, I needed 11 on 2 dice, and thusly didn't kill it. But also critically, left striker within 3 of the front of a forest.
Yeah. With no focus.
On no focus. He does have escort up the spell, giving you a +2 armor if there's any jacks in his battle group in range of 3. There is not, because the only jack in range of 3 is not in his battle group. It's Junior's Firefly.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah.
yeah. So, Junior's Firefly is activated, Speak of the Devil, and has managed to clear the Dread Drops out of the way. So the Ironclad has got open season on a Skin and Bones. Again, he's got 3 focus. He's not a hand aggression, but he should be able to put a dent in it, if nothing else. The Lance is going at the bottom, trying to kill the second Skin and Bones. Some pretty hot dice, actually, I seem to remember. There's some leaps. I managed to leap carry on a Rose to death, which is handy, which apparently triggers something, because everything triggers something.
Trigger it. That was the problem, because it's not an attack.
That is true, yeah. Like I said, some gunshots from them managed to get her. But here's some fairly hot rolls from some Storm Lancers, and managed to take... They don't kill it, but they leave it on few enough health that they can reposition out of the way and let Katherine Laddermore in and see if she can do it instead, which is this move.
Yep.
So she goes in as well, and she takes an assault shot, which I think hits it.
Yeah, well, I think at this point it's on 1 box or 2 boxes.
Is it only
it's
on
not
1 or
much.
2? Yeah.
But yeah, the assault shot kills it, and then flicked it to me. Played the extra Fury one.
The extra Fury one.
Oh, I completely forgot about that. Well, when we go into the next turn, it will make sense.
Good realisation. There it is. Live on the internet. Not live on the internet. Recorded on the internet. So Ironclad's gone in. He's going to tear the Skin and Bones a new one.
Yeah,
another new one. He's got loads. He uses Tremor to knock him down, because I'm thinking that he can just wail on him a bit more. Again, I realise it's armor
21 this time.
Million.
Yeah.
At least 20 million. So I think I knock about a third of its grid off and leave it very much alive. He's got an Ironclad in his face, though.
Yeah, so this is my turn. I've lost attrition.
What's the score
Lost on
now?
Scenario. Scenario, I think, is 4-2, 4-3, something like that.
Cleverly, our dice are just out of shot
Yeah.
on top there, marking.
But the plan here is, I reckon I can get a Skin and Bones onto Stryker.
Hence the orange proxy base.
Hence the orange proxy base. One thing I completely forget about is, it can fail its frenzy check, which is never good, which it doesn't. It passes.
How did it end up with Fury out there anyway? Did you not just take it back?
No, I couldn't take it back, because I'd taken it back off the Skin and Bones at the bottom. Because I thought it'd be out of thingy, which was a daft thing. But what I forgot to do, so I'm measuring all this out, I'm working it all out, and then I realise, this is me doing the frenzy check. So the guy we go hound frenzies, but it's irrelevant. We're not really interested.
No. He does. He frenzies and bounces off Arlan Strangewayes because he's got 8 boxes and 16 armor, and everybody hates him. Carry on.
Yeah. So then I'm going, right, okay, so my plan here is, Child goes up, walks into the back arc of the Ironclad, blasts him out the way with a Force Hammer. That then frees up...
That's dramatic.
Frees up the Skin and Bones, who will then charge into Stryker. He can use his Animus if he needs to get Pathfinder, goes into Stryker, and kills him. The problems we have with this situation are, the reason that the Skin and Bones ended up with Fury on him is because I played the card but forgot the card. So he should have been Fury 8, not Fury 7, which is why he ended up with a point of Fury on him. So that could have come off. Okay. At the same time, I forgot to stand him up. So he's currently knocked down.
This is a big one, because Matt nearly did a tantrum move with it at the start, and I said he can't because he's knocked down. And then he
Well, that's when I started doing the frenzies.
Yeah, he then... When's
tantrum?
Is tantrum before?
Tantrum's maintenance phase.
Right, and then control is when you shake effect to stand up.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did know.
Well, I did know I should have done it, I just forgot about it.
So Ironclad's been smashed out of the way with the Force Hammer, but Skin and Bones had to stand up where he is, and now he's trashed the Ironclad instead of trashing Stryker's head in.
Yeah, because he couldn't charge Stryker.
Which hasn't worked out too bad.
So now I'm sat in a situation where I've gone, oh dear, I've got my caster or warlock right in the middle of everywhere, and I think he's got no He's got two.
He's got two.
Two on
Fury.
him. And I'm just thinking, this has all gone so horribly wrong, it's untrue. So now, that's why this Battle Energy goes to where it is to try and block stuff off. And yeah, just generally make sure that, try and stop people getting to him.
So, the child's pretty tough to crack. It's, what is it, defense 13, armour 17?
Yeah.
But then you hurt it and it goes up to armour 19.
Yeah.
So, at this point, I think that there might be an assassination, I don't know. But I want to see where else I can go with it.
Well, the key to it is getting rid of the death knell, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because that's giving it +2 armor on top of all the other stuff.
Yeah, the Lancers have some skewy charge lanes onto the death knell. They've still got Fury on them, so they managed to smash it for a fair bit. Critically, in doing so, they put an assault shot into it, and it leaps about 5 times to that Dreadrot. And then he either doesn't break his armour, or I think he passes tough at some point. But eventually, he goes down to an Electro Leap. There he goes. The Death Knell's left on about 2 or 3 health. So, at this point, I've still got to clear it. If I can clear it, I can get Laddermore to charge the back of the child, and that'll swing the assassination in my favour. Stryker has dropped all of his upkeeps apart from Fury, because he needs to do that to keep that up to kill the Death Knell. But he's sat on 7 focus himself. So I try and finish the Death Knell with Genius Firefly, who charges it and kills it. It's only down to 4 boxes. So the charge line is open for Laddermore. At this point, I'm not actually thinking about assassinating, and the odds are possibly there. I've not really run the maths, but I'm also starting to run out of time. So Laddermore goes in more as a delaying tactic, but she actually does quite well.
Yeah, her assault shot's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, he's got 2 transfers, and the assault shot does really well and gets transferred to that Crabbit that's just in front. But the Crabbit is not only in my way as Stryker, but also does not very much health, so it doesn't survive too many transfers. Her Lance Smash as well scores a fair few hit points off it. So does she hit it for about 6 or 7?
I think, yeah, it's something like the assault shot causes 5 or 6, and then she stabs it for another 7, and it's just like
the Crabbit goes down. So at this point, I realise, hang on a minute, Stryker can probably charge his way out of the woods. He can certainly see out. It's whether or not he can get out in terms of how much terrain he's going to go through. So we figure that to get his base out the back of there, he's got to take about 4.5 inches, which he's going to double because he's not got Pathfinder up to 9. He's then got 2 inches, which is the green widget you can see. And it just about gets him in range. So he's got 5 Fury. At this point, I'm in for a penny and for a pound, because if I don't kill this, then I'm going to get murdered by the horrible monsters. You might add 1 transfer at the start of this. The Stryker's assault shot hits, scores a few points off. Because he has assault, everyone forgets it. He's Lord of the Storm Lancers, everyone knows that. His actual charge attack gets transferred, but he does it on his last Fury point. He buys and boosts, and in the end, just about gets it. But again, last Fury, last focus point.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's game.
Yeah, he gets. I think I quite like the way the Fury mechanic cycles, so that at that point you kill the Crabbit, but then that gives me some Fury back, which I can pass it out onto the Skin and Moan. So I thought at one point he was actually going to survive.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting, or the frustration is that because you stayed 2 inches away, I didn't get my retaliatory strike.
Again, I entirely forgot about that.
Because he's got
crit
pitch, it can be a massive thing.
Yeah. The thing is, he had to stay 2 inches away because he was on pretty much the limit of where he could get to.
Yeah, that's
anyway.
it. He couldn't go any further, could he? So.
But again, as you can see by what's left, there's not a lot left on the board at the end of the game. 3 Lances, Laddermore, and Stryker basically.
That's it. I think the clock was. You had about 3 or 4 minutes, didn't you?
I
and
was
I had
down on time.
13 or something. I was.
Yeah.
Loads of time, but nothing to do with it.
But I'm starting to think that Storm Division into the Child is actually quite a good matchup for me. The threat game is interesting because, again, Skin and Moan is threat 12, possibly one of them can threat 14, whereas Lance is threat 13. So there's that makes it interesting in itself. And then the amount of force hammers that get flown about by the Child, which always surprises me because whenever I have a couple of casters that have force hammer, and I very rarely use it because it costs all the focus. But I also tend to run quite Battlegroup heavy because it's all heavy metal. But other than that, I think we're done.
Yeah.
Do we need to sign off the YouTube thing?
You can do the whole YouTube thing. Was it like it, click on it,
All that.
Tell your mates about it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
We're so good at the internet.
Yeah, all that internety stuff. But no, give us some comments. If it's something you like, then let us know. We're tempted to do some kind of sort of mini-series on maybe Grymkin or maybe something else, depending how it can work. So if you've got anything you want to see, let us know and we'll...
Because we are tactical genii.
Because we are well tactical genii. As I clearly proved for getting the Arcana knocked down, really, really advanced things.
Yeah, I put all my Stormblasters in a wood. That was good. Anyway, we should probably go now.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, cheers for watching.
And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll catch you next time.
That's more
cheers.
of a question than a statement. Bye.
Bye.